Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the battery on this late 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro model A1707. And before you begin, I just want to let you know this model is a huge pain in the butt. Let me show you what I mean. So most MacBook batteries, they're already somewhat of a pain because of the way they have you install the battery. But this one is even worse because if you can see, this piece here that's going along the battery tucks underneath the motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but keep in mind if you're going to do this, you might want to watch through the whole video just to see if it'll be worth attempting. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to use a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. We'll also need a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. I believe we'll also need a T3 Torx 3 screwdriver. Possibly we'll need a T4 Torx 4 screwdriver. We'll need a thin, flat tool like this that's flexible, not a knife, okay? You don't want something that's sharp that's going to puncture the battery. Though if you're not careful and don't do it right, you can possibly damage the battery with this. So you want to be careful. If you're not sure and don't know what you're doing, you might want to do this outside just in case you somehow cause a fire. I've never had that happen to me, but some people have told me that they stabbed it with a knife and then it started smoking and getting really hot. So you want to be careful with that, alright? I don't think we're going to need to take out the wireless antenna, so we don't need the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. And I think let's go ahead and begin. So we're going to use the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver first, and we're going to remove all the screws. So there's 4 screws down here, and there's 2 back where the hinges are. You want to keep all the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and length, and most of them actually are. So you put them flat side down like this. In the pattern you remove them. At least that's how I keep track of them. Alright, and I find that's the best way so that I put exactly the same screw where I got it. So this screw will go back into this hole. There's no chance I'm going to put anything in the wrong one. Even if they're the same size, same shape, it's always good to use the same screw that you took out to begin with. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue removing all the screws. One other thing that might be helpful is some tape or a suction cup. A suction cup will be a little bit easier, but you can use tape if you don't have that. Alright, so let me show you what I mean. If this video helps you repair your computer, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can also learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, these are customer computers. I don't own them, so keep that in mind. Also, this battery is somewhat bulged, so after removing the screws, the case is kind of popping up. So actually, I don't need the suction cup in this case because of that. But while you're removing the screw, you want to make sure to hold this cover down so it doesn't just get caught on the case. Alright, so normally what I would do is I would use a suction cup and pull this up, or use some tape, like I'll stick it down like that, and then at the middle it'll be like, I'll make it like a pull tab so I can pull that up. But let me go ahead and show you now. It's all dust here, so let me get that off. Okay, so what you're going to do, normally you'd pull up with a suction cup, you'd get under here, work your way over to the side, okay? I use some fingers to pull up on the case and then my thumb to push down. So let's go ahead and get over to the side and do that. So there you go. You can hear the clip unlatched. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Go around the edge. Same thing. Push with your thumb, pull up with your fingers, or you can use plastic pry tools, however it works, and pop that up. I see a whole bunch of dust flying out of here, so I'm very likely going to, have to take that out and clean it up. Alright, once you pop those 2 clips up, there are clips in the center as well, but normally once you pop the 2 side clips, the center ones will also pop up. But if you feel like the center isn't coming up, you can pull that up as well. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab the side here. So I get my fingers in there, and then I use my palm here. And I have my fingernails running along the edge here. So that way when I pull it down, it's not going to cut into my skin or anything. So you want to be careful with that. So just grab like this. And then sometimes it helps to push down on this little edge here that's underneath the screen while you're kind of pulling this down. It could be really difficult to pull this out, but just pull on it super hard. Jeez. Okay, so that side's moving barely any, so we're going to go ahead and move our way over to this side. Wow, there's so much dust coming out, so It's probably going to be pretty gross in here. All right, we're going to go on this side, do the same thing, grab that, pull it down while pushing on this lip here. All right, there we go. Okay, so now that we've got that down, it's going to be a lot easier to swing this one. So just swing that down, and then be careful not to slide it along the motherboard. Pull it back and flip it over. Wow. Okay, here you can see all the dust in there. Okay, so I'm going to clean all this dust. Here you can see the battery's all inflated and swollen here, and the fans are pretty bad. So the way I clean this is I use a toothbrush, all right, and then after I loosen up all the dust, I use my electric air blower to blow all this dust out. There's not really anything upgradable in here, so if that's what you're watching this video for, you can't upgrade the SSD, you can't upgrade RAM. Pretty much all you can do is replace the giant components that are in here. So the entire logic board, you can replace some little cables, trackpad, battery, the speakers, but the speakers are a huge pain to get out of here because they put a strong adhesive underneath, and most of the time just prying out the speakers will damage them. All right, and the screen with the little cable here. I do have videos showing how to replace the screens on these kinds of models, so if you need that, you can watch those videos. But again, I am going to clean this up first, and I'll be back. All right, see you guys in a bit. Oh, actually, let me make sure I get a thumbnail. Okay, there we go. I'm going to clean that and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. So here you can see the cover is a lot cleaner. It's not perfect. There's still some very light dust that kind of doesn't really clean off, as you can see. All right, and then the inside, the fans are way cleaner if you saw it earlier. Okay, so if you didn't already, I mean, your MacBook should be off. It turned itself on, I think. So I'm going to make sure to shut this off completely. All right, press and hold the power button. Okay. Looks like they unplugged their external drive before they did that. Wow, there was a lot of dust that went through the keyboard and onto that. So I'm going to actually have to clean out the keyboard later as well. I don't know if you can see, but it's super dusty. All right, so we'll do that later. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and start removing the battery. We are going to have to take out a whole bunch of the motherboard to do this, so keep that in mind. We aren't going to have to disconnect everything, but we do have to remove enough that we can lift the motherboard out. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is remove this little cover here that is covering the battery connectors. Okay, so we're just slowly, carefully peeling this up. Okay, just like this. Slowly, carefully. All right. Peel that up, and there we go. So some of the adhesive sometimes will get stuck there, as you can see, so we got that out. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to disconnect this little ribbon cable here. That's part of the battery connector. All right, if you damage this, then your battery's not going to work, so keep that in mind. All right, so grab this plastic piece, peel that off. All right, once you peel that off, you can go ahead and move that aside. Hold that back, flip this little latch up. You want to be careful. I've had a lot of people say they lost this little plastic piece. It's not supposed to fall out if you flip it up right. If you use your fingernails like how I did, it's very easy. So yeah, all right, anyways, grab this cable. For some reason my screen just froze. I don't know why. Let me see if I can fix that. All right, sorry about that. I don't know why my screen froze, so I was streaming to another screen so I could see what I'm recording. Anyways, let's go ahead and remove this cable. So that latch is flipped up. Then what you want to do is grab as close to the connector as possible. Let me actually zoom in a bit more. Okay, so you don't want to grab the part where it's kind of curving like that. You want to try and grab where it's going straight out. Okay, if you can use some tweezers and then kind of grab this and kind of wiggle and pull it out. All right, just like this, and there we go. So now we got the battery cable disconnected. Then we're going to peel this up. Okay, you want to be careful with this. Just grab as close as you can to the adhesive, pull it this way while pulling it up, and there we go. All right, and also this cable is part of the battery on this model. So if you break it, it's not too big of a deal, but sometimes if you break it while it's plugged in, you can cause issues if it shorts something. So you want to be very careful with that. All right, so we're going to be using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. All right, let me switch to that. All right, let me make sure to get all these things lined up so I don't get them mixed up. All right, so the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, we're going to undo this screw, the big screw here. All right, and once you've undone that screw, we're gonna now lift up this metal plate or tab here. Okay, you want to pull it up slightly so that it's no longer flat against the battery, and this will disconnect the battery. So here you can see. All right, next thing we're gonna do to be extra safe, we are gonna open up the MacBook and then press and hold the power button. This will drain any residual power. So we're gonna press and hold this for about 15 seconds. That will prevent it from causing damage if for some reason something shorts out on the computer. All right, I don't know why there's these, hopefully that's just oil. Okay, it looks like it might just be oil. Sometimes there's like the anti-glare coating that will get messed up. I'll probably clean that off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol or something. Okay, so I think it's been about 15 seconds. We're gonna close this up. Okay, next thing we're gonna do to make it safe to work on, we're gonna actually remove the trackpad as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom in once again. Okay, let's see, is it T5? Okay, we are going to have to switch over to the smaller, I think it's the T3, but let me check the T4 just to be safe. Yep, okay, so we're going to use a T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver now, and we're going to remove the 2 screws holding this metal plate into place. Okay, just like this. All right, again, make sure to keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths, and if you mix them up, you can damage the computer. Okay, once we've removed those 2 screws, we'll take this metal plate and set that aside. All right, then we're gonna disconnect this cable. This is the trackpad connector. I like to go on opposite corners like this and kind of just wiggle and pull it, and there we go. You wanna be careful here. They designed it like this on purpose so that if you yank it, you can actually tear this cable easily. So you wanna be careful. Apple's like purposely making computers difficult to work on. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna try and grab lower down here so that it's going straight on this line. I'm gonna again pull it this way while I'm pulling it up. All right, so and then I'm gonna hold my finger down here so that way when there's no more adhesive, it won't just tear this cable out. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel this up. All right, just like this. The inflated thing is making it a little bit scary. I don't know, it's making it kind of seem like it's almost about to crease. So you want to be careful here. All right, again, slowly, carefully peel it up. Just like that. All right, and then when you get to the end, you can just carefully lift it up and move this cable out of the way. Okay, now we're going to remove the trackpad. There's a lot of screws holding this thing in place. So you want to make sure you get them all out. We're going to switch back over to the T5, Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, let me make sure I get the right one. And we're going to get all these screws out. So there's 5 on either side, and then I think we have to take all 3 out on this side. Excuse me, okay? So we're going to get all 5 of these out. All right. Okay, then we'll get all of these out. All right, and we're gonna try and do this the easier way. We do have to lift the motherboard up. Usually you would take the entire motherboard or the logic board, whatever you want to call it, out. The reason it's called a logic board now is because there are no daughter boards connected to this. Everything is all connected to one. So you might hear people call it logic board, and that's the reason why. All right, so we'll get the other 5 on this side. So we got all 10 of those screws out. Okay, now we're going to get the 3 going along down here. Okay, we're only getting these 3. Don't get the ones holding the motor into place. All right. Again, the screws are different size, shape, and length, so you want to be careful not to mix them up. All right, the 3 going along the bottom seem to be longer than all the rest. I'm not really measuring them, so I don't know, it could be an illusion. These 3 seem to be about the same length as the 3 down here, but these 2 seem to be shorter. But again, keep all the screws in order because you don't want to mix them up. All right, now we're gonna slowly, carefully lift open the MacBook. You don't wanna flip the computer over because there are little washers that are on the trackpad, and if you flip it over, it's gonna damage. So I'm gonna go from in between the computer now, and I'm just gonna guide this trackpad wire through the hole here. Okay, you might have to kind of lift it and move it around It's a little bit tricky, okay? But slide it around, all right? Get the trackpad cable through. Might have to rotate it a bit. All right, get it through there. Rotate it back and get this cable through. There we go. And here are the little washers I'm talking about. So these things, they're on like a flexible or moving piece of metal. So if you set this down too hard, the metal will actually bounce or shake, and it will launch these little things out. So you want to be very careful. A lot of people don't even really pay attention to that, and they will put the trackpad back without those little washers, which is okay, but Apple will for sure know that you worked on it if those things are missing. And they go missing really easily. I don't know if it affects the motor feel, because I haven't really paid attention or taken these things out just to try it with and without. But yeah, keep in mind all of these have it. So these have a double screw one, and then all these single ones have a little washer by itself. All right, so we're gonna set this aside. If your trackpad breaks, you can just replace it like this. Sometimes you might have to replace the cable. Some people ask me if they need to remove the trackpad before replacing the battery, and I highly recommend it. If you don't, there's a good chance that you're actually gonna damage the trackpad itself, so keep that in mind. You don't want to mess around and then end up having to pay like I think the trackpad on this model might be $80 or so. The prices always fluctuate, so keep that in mind. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove the two screws up here holding the battery board in place. I believe, oh, these aren't T3 or T5. What is this? Did they seriously? Oh, okay, so the sticker coating from this got stuck in there, so I'm going to have to use a needle to get it out and transfer them back over to these rubber pieces. All right, that's annoying. All right, so I'm going to use tweezers to do this. Most of the time this stuff peels off separately, so I don't know why on this one it didn't. So we're going to peel that up, and then we're going to just stick this back on. Okay. Okay, usually these stay on the rubber, not on the screw, so that's a little weird. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this. And you want to be careful with the screws, because, or with using tweezers and stuff here, because it is on the battery and you don't want to short anything out there. Okay, so we got all of that out. We're going to set that back aside. Okay, and now let's go ahead and remove these screws. All right, yes, they are T5 or Torx 5 screws. So I was wondering why it felt weird trying to remove them. Good thing I didn't push the screwdriver through. Okay, so we got the two screws that are holding the battery connector into place. But again, they did wire this underneath here, so it's very annoying. This model, if you're wondering, it's possible to actually access the SSD, even though it's integrated into the computer. But you do need a special tool. So this little connector here, if you pull this out, it actually runs connectors from one side to the other. If you pull this out, the MacBook won't detect the integrated SSD at all. So this little connector may look like it does nothing, but it actually disconnects the SSD from the motherboard. So keep that in mind. And then if you want to access the SSD, I do have a tool. I don't know what it costs now, but it was like over $200. And then you need one of the newer MacBooks with, I think, USB-C Thunderbolt 3.0 or Lightning, whatever it's called, Lightning or Thunderbolt. I don't know which one's which. One is the iPhone and the other one's for the USB-C ports. But anyways, you need a special newer Mac to connect this with the expensive adapter. So keep that in mind if you are trying to get your data. But it is cheaper than paying someone to get the data out of here. So if you want to do that, you can do that. The only requirement to extract the data is to disconnect the battery here, and then you can actually plug that tool to extract the data. All right, so next thing we're going to do, let me see, I don't know if I'm going to have to remove all of this. I'm going to try and remove as little as possible and then see if I can lift the motherboard up, so that way if you're doing a battery replacement on yours, you hopefully won't have to remove everything, but we'll find out. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is remove all these little screws holding the motherboard in place. Again, you want to keep all the screws in order. All right, I just put them in the pattern I'm removing them. There's another one down here. Okay, 2. I'm going to get this one here. The reason why we're removing all these screws is because when we lift it, we don't want it to flex on one of these screw points and then end up damaging. Okay, these 2 screws I believe are T3. So we're going to switch over to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Okay, I don't think I need the T4, so I'm going to put that away. Okay, so Torx 3, we're going to remove these 2 screws here. And you want to be very careful not to touch any of the metal stuff inside. You don't want to end up shorting out the motherboard. All right, so we're going to remove those. Again, if you held the power button after removing the battery, that will greatly reduce the risk, but there's still a chance you can damage it. All right, we're switching back to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. And we're going to remove these screws. You want to get a good screwdriver set because sometimes the cheap screwdrivers won't hold the screws properly, and you can actually strip out the screws. And if that happens, you're going to have a very difficult time, or you're not even going to be able to change the battery at all. All right, there's another screw up here. And then we got one more here. And I think those are all the screws holding the motherboard. Let me take a close look. Let's actually take out these screws up here. Let me see here. Can I lift this? Not enough. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to disconnect all these things, but we'll see. All right, so we have the T5. I think I have to switch back to the T3 here. Yeah, okay, I think we got all the T5 screws out. Let's go ahead and switch back to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. We're going to remove this little metal plate here, and that is holding the Touch ID button in place. If you need to fix your power button, keep in mind that replacing the Touch ID button, you're not going to have Touch ID, so keep that in mind. You can't actually replace the Touch ID thing, or you'll lose Touch ID. All right, so once you remove those 2 screws, we're going to remove this metal plate. It slides slightly underneath this plastic cover here. If you want, you can actually take that out using the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver, but I'm going to leave it. So I guess we are going to need a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver to remove the screws holding here. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one. Okay. Oh, it's stuck underneath this plastic thing. That's annoying. There we go. All right, I don't want to have to take that out if I don't have to. All right, and let's go ahead and take this one out as well. I guess same thing, it's slightly underneath that plastic, so I'm going to just lift it up while I kind of take it out, and there we go. All right, those 2 screws, these 2 screws are different as well. This screw is designed to let that other small screw go into it, so if you lose this screw, you're not going to be able to put the metal plate back in to hold this cable here. This is actually the audio headphone jack cable, and then underneath there's the fingerprint Touch ID power button cable, so you want to be careful with that. All right, let's see if we can lift this. All right, I think we're gonna have to take out these 2 connectors and probably this one, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna switch back to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Let's go ahead and remove this one first because it's in the middle. All right. Again, I did mention that this is going to be a long, tedious, annoying, and difficult repair, so most people wouldn't attempt this on their own. Make sure to remove that metal plate, and then we're going to go ahead and flip this connector up as well. All right, just wiggle it and pull it up, and there we go. All right, let's see if we can lift this now. Kind of, sort of. Okay, yeah, this cable is kind of holding it. So we're going to remove the 2 speaker connectors, and then we're also going to remove this little cable here just so we can lift it up as much as possible. So we're going to remove this one now. Again, it's a lot of screws and a lot of little metal plates and all that stuff. So hopefully you're able to keep track of them if you did decide to do this. I did warn you, so yeah. All right, take that metal plate off. I'm going to pop that connector up as well. These are basically the same as the trackpad connectors, just different sizes. Okay, and just wiggle that connector to pop it out, and there we go. All right, so next let's remove these speaker connectors. I'm going to zoom in here and hopefully be able to show you this a bit better. All right, I like to use my fingernails for this, but if you don't have fingernails, then you're going to need to use a small thin tool, something like this, all right, to get underneath. And there is adhesive holding it, so I like to use this tool to kind of wiggle it. And then as you get all the way to the middle, if you can get like the corner edge of the tool under into the center of this, and then if you kind of wiggle it, it should pop out. So let's try to get one edge. I'm going to instead go more to one side, and then we're going to pop that up just like that. And then the other side, you can kind of do the same thing, and there we go. All right, so it's hard to see, but this is just like the other Macs. You're basically, this little thing is not, it has a little gap that goes further than the outside edges. So when you get underneath there, you can actually pop up the connector itself. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's see if I can get that in view of the camera. There we go. All right, same thing. Get this plastic tool underneath. Make sure you're not scraping any of these little things off the board. You're just getting underneath this connector, okay? And I'm just wiggling this as I go underneath to slowly lift the adhesive, okay? And then again, like before, we're going to go into like one of the edges of the middle and pop it up just like that, okay? And then pop that up, okay? I'm trying to hold this down so I can pop this side better, and there we go. All right, so we got all of that out. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. Now for the other annoying part. Let's see here. Why isn't it letting me zoom out? There we go. Okay, let me make sure I can lift this up high enough. I'm going to be using 2 popsicle sticks to help with this. All right, so here you can see we can lift this pretty high. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we can lift it high enough. So you might have to move this aside a little to get underneath more. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to get a popsicle stick on this side. It basically has to be further than this part here. And then we're going to do the same thing with this side. Again, you do want to move this over to the edge, get underneath. And we're going to use a popsicle stick like that as well. The reason I'm using popsicle sticks is because the wood doesn't really conduct electricity, so I don't have to worry about it shorting anything out. Anyways, we're going to take these popsicle sticks out for now. I just wanted to make sure that I could lift up the board enough to remove the battery. Okay. This connector is going underneath, so I might have to lift this back up a bit. Man, okay. Get back out of there. All right, so get that cable back out. All right, so now we're gonna have to scrape out this battery. This is what you usually only have to do for the newer MacBooks, but this design, Apple decided to be stupid, and I guess maybe they're trying to be smart and stop people from fixing their own computers. And now we're going to scrape the battery out. So what we do, we use the thin flat metal pry tool here, and we're just going to get underneath. I've heard some people use like dental floss and rubbing alcohol to get under here, but I found this works best. But if all you have is dental floss and rubbing alcohol, you can Google for those videos, but again, I find this works best. So I'm just pushing the tool straight through, okay, underneath. So basically what's happening, the battery pack is like this. It's actually a little bit bulged out, so it's curved like this. So this tool gets underneath and it scrapes under the battery like this. I mean, my skin gets caught because of wrinkles, but the battery pack is more smooth. So basically it just slides under in between the battery like that and scrapes it out. So here you can see we got this battery pack up. We're gonna do now going this way to cut this one out. Okay, so let's rotate this. And then we're gonna lift this one up, go underneath. You can actually see the tool going over there. And we're just gonna scrape that as well. Okay, just like this. Okay, just like that. Then we're gonna go ahead and do this one, same thing. We're gonna slide the tool in. All right, just down like this. All right. You can actually hear the adhesive being cut. Okay, this is a foam adhesive, so basically it's cutting in between the layers of foam. The one thing I don't like about this is afterwards, after you get these battery packs cut out from the adhesive, we are gonna have to do cleanup on the adhesive. All right, so we're gonna go over here. Again, lift this up and then we're going to cut this. I need to use my stomach to hold it. All right. Okay. And you only want to push the tool straight in. You don't want to try and slide it over like this, because let me try and show you once I finish cutting this one out. All right, so the reason why is if this part is glued down and this side is up, if you cut like this, as you can see, it's cutting evenly and this will slowly release more. But if you try and slide it this way, what's going to happen is this part is more glued down and it's going to like cut into the pack. All right, so you don't want to do that, because when it's like bulged out like that and you try and slide it, it's gonna cut into that instead of flexing to go over it, under it, or over, yeah, under. Okay, so we got those two out. We're gonna now get out these two packs. This one can be a little bit trickier just because of the holes in the trackpad. So let me open this and show you what it looks like. I want to be careful. All right, I'm gonna have to clean up the dust in here. Trackpad in here is very dusty, but you can see these holes here. So if you get a larger tool, it'll be okay. As you can see, it can almost fit into this hole. Over here, it definitely will, but if the tool is too big and it goes like this, it can actually go up and out and might hit the screen. So you want to be careful with that. If you want, you can do it with the screen open, so you can keep an eye on where the tool is going and prevent it from going into those holes. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cut through the adhesive now like this. Okay, I can actually feel where the holes are, so we're gonna kind of try and skip over those if we can. Okay, let's go over to this side and cut this. Okay, and we're gonna move it over a little bit, and same thing. If you want, you can kind of go at a diagonal a little bit while you're pushing it, and as you can see, that helped cut it. Okay, I don't know why the center of the adhesive doesn't want to cut. There we go. Okay, and then slowly keep moving it. And there we go. Okay, so you can move it sideways underneath, but you don't want to use that to try and slice it. Okay, so we got this pack out. We're going to now go over to this side and do the same thing. Okay, just like this. Cut through the adhesive. Okay. Move it over slightly. I did feel it go into the hole, so you want to be careful with that again. Okay, there we go. Work our way over, and oh, it's going through the little hole, so you want to be very careful. Okay, we'll go down the side here. Okay, cut through that adhesive. Continue working our way over. We're going to go diagonal a little bit. Okay, and I think we got it all cut through. Okay, so yep. All right, next thing, we're gonna use the popsicle sticks, as I mentioned earlier. If you want, you don't need 2 popsicle sticks. You can cut it because it doesn't need to be so long. But we're gonna lift this board up. I like to go from here to lift the motherboard up. And then if you can, lift from over here where the fan is, and then you can slide the popsicle stick in. You can actually just rest it like that. We're going to do the same thing with this side. Lift this up and get the popsicle stick in there. Okay, if you want, you can turn it over to the side. Same thing. If you get it in the side, it's a little bit easier because then it's not on the battery. Just make sure that it's not going past this area. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this side to make it a little bit easier. Okay, just like that. Now we should be able to lift the battery out. So, oh, so it got stuck back down a little bit. So, okay, so now we're going to carefully lift this whole battery pack up. Get underneath. You're going to have to pull all the battery packs at the same time. Okay. Okay, this one doesn't want to lift out, so we're going to have to help guide it. You might have to kind of lift this a bit higher and swing this out. This side is for some reason getting caught here, so let's use a little plastic tool to get underneath. All right, and lift this up. As you can see, now we're getting underneath here. Okay, I don't know why. Oh, is it getting caught on this? Okay, there we go. So now we lift this battery board up, and now we can get it out. Okay, so lift the battery pack all up, and hopefully we can get this out now. There we go. So here we go. We got the old battery pack out. This is what it looks like underneath. Okay. Again, I hate this design. I don't know if Apple's purposely trying to make it impossible to repair these things. But there we go. Okay. If you want, you can take the popsicle sticks out for now, because we are going to have to do a little work to remove all of this adhesive residue. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove that. I like to use a plastic razor blade, but you can use whatever works for you. You can even use your fingernails, or yeah, whatever works for you. All right, so we're gonna scrape this up a little bit, and then once you get a little bit of it up, you should be able to hopefully peel this out. You want to go slowly and try and get as much of the adhesive as possible, because we are going to have to clean up any remaining residue. Let me actually zoom in a bit here. I probably should have zoomed in for the battery part, but too late now. All right, and you want to be careful not to push into the speaker. Okay, so get that. Let's go ahead and peel this up. All right. Okay, and let's peel this up. Again, once you get enough, you want to peel this slowly and carefully. You don't want to try and rip it out too fast, because if you do, it'll just tear. All right, and then it'll make it harder to remove. So let's go ahead and continue removing all these adhesives. All right, there we go. Peel this one out. All right, we're gonna get this out. Go. We're gonna get these last two on this side, and then we gotta do the same for the middle and the other side. Okay, just like this. And I don't feel that using rubbing alcohol and helps with removing this, because basically you're cutting through the foam. And the alcohol doesn't really make the foam easier to cut. It just makes it easier to clean off this adhesive residue. So I hate this residue. That's gonna be a pain to remove. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and continue. We're gonna go to the middle now. All right, and we're gonna get this adhesive out as well. Okay, I made the mistake of misquoting my customer on this one, because I didn't realize it was the model where I had to lift the motherboard up. This is the most annoying model to replace the batteries on. So I actually quoted for the older style, or Retinas, and some of the other models that it's basically this, but you don't have to do anything with the motherboard. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Apple's experimenting on ways to stop people from replacing the parts on their own. Okay, get this one out. Man, this adhesive is going to be a pain. Okay. Come on. Alright, almost halfway done removing the adhesive. And then we are going to have to clean up the residue again. We're going to use rubbing alcohol. I use 91% isopropyl alcohol. Doesn't have to be 91%, but that's what I use. Alright, so we'll remove that. Okay, let's move over here and remove this side. Okay. Get this side. hate when it tears like that. Alright. Got these ones. Let's get these as well. And also, if you bring this to Apple, Apple actually doesn't even replace the battery itself. They replace like the whole keyboard palm rest assembly. And that's why they charge so much to do these kinds of repairs. They don't even replace just the battery. So I guess if you have keyboard issues, you can tell them it's a battery issue and they'll replace the keyboard as well. So yeah, but you can also buy the entire keyboard palm rest assembly and replace that if you really wanted to. I'm pretty sure I have a video showing how to completely pull the motherboard out if you wanted to do that. Okay. Go ahead and continue peeling this stuff out. Okay. Go ahead and continue getting all of this out. Okay. All right, 3 more pieces and then we begin cleaning the residue. Okay. All right. 2 more. All right, last piece. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead now and clean up the residue. So the residue, to clean it up, we're going to be using isopropyl alcohol again. And we're also going to use some paper towels and the scraper as well. So basically I'm going to spray some rubbing alcohol in here. All right, I'm going to try and avoid the speaker area here is raised a bit, so you don't have to worry too much. Just don't put way too much rubbing alcohol. Okay, I have it in a spray bottle here. So you're going to spray that, and then basically I'm going to just scrub this to get the adhesive residue out. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to keep getting this out. Alright, so you can see it slowly will dissolve this. And you can see the goo is actually now getting pushed around. Alright, let's get this out. Alright, we're getting there. Oops, got a little rubbing alcohol up there. Alright. Just about got all of that up. Okay. Let's get it all up. Alright, now we're going to use a paper towel and just clean up all this. Alright. So you can actually see all that residue that came up. I'm going to use a paper towel. I just tore off a piece and wipe that out. Okay, just like this. mop up all the edges. You don't want to leave the rubbing alcohol in here. It does evaporate pretty quickly, so as long as you just air dry it a bit, if you can't get all of it out, it'll quickly evaporate. Okay. Alright, so there we go. We got all that residue out. We're going to go over to the other sides. These ones are a bit more difficult because you can't just soak it in there. It's just going to fall through the holes. So we're going to just use paper towel, and we're going to kind of just rub this. Alright, if you want, you can kind of pat it with the rubbing alcohol from the paper towel. Just like this, just to kind of get it a little wet. Alright, and then you can kind of work at it with the scraper. It will take a bit of effort to remove the stuff here. Okay, here you can see it's pretty tough. It doesn't really want to come out easily. But yeah, you're just going to have to use quite a bit of elbow grease to keep cleaning it. You can see it's slowly going away. Okay, and we're just going to keep going. Okay. Continue cleaning this off. You can use the scraper. It helps to kind of scrape it a little bit to get the top layer off, because the top layer of that adhesive residue is actually more of like a protective coating that was stuck to the adhesive or the foam before. So it's actually harder to dissolve. Alright, so we're just going to keep rubbing this with the rubbing alcohol. You can hopefully see that it's slowly going away. You want to be careful not to touch the motherboard while you're working on it too much. Alright, and we're just going to keep cleaning this. Alright, get some more rubbing alcohol in here. And continue cleaning. Okay, getting there. Technically, this doesn't have to be 100% cleaned up, but I like to get it as clean as possible. But as long as you get probably at least half of the adhesive to stick down properly, not on top of the old adhesive residue, you should be okay. But again, I like to do it as nice as possible and try and get all the residue up. Alright, so most of the adhesive residue is up. There's some like dissolved stuff there. We'll get to that later with a clean paper towel, but for now we're just getting off the majority. Okay. Alright, let's scrape this up. Okay, you can see how much of a pain it is to remove this stuff. Okay, let's fold this over to a cleaner side of the paper towel, get some more rubbing alcohol, and continue cleaning. Okay, got a little bit there. Let's go ahead and continue cleaning. These little white stickers here are moisture detecting stickers. So if you get water on them or anything that's like water based, it will actually turn red. So keep that in mind. And that's how Apple knows that you got liquid in your computer. Though sometimes even if it's not like a lot of liquid, it could just be humidity, and that can actually make those stickers pink, which I guess humidity is also bad for the computer. So if you live in a very humid area, you might want to get a dehumidifier, because of course you can damage your computers if you aren't careful. Okay. Alright, so we got most of it out. On this side as well. Okay, and then we got the last piece over here. Alright. Same thing, we're going to spray some in because this one has the place where I can kind of puddle it. And we're just going to push the rubbing alcohol over the adhesive to get it to soak in. All right. Okay, so this one has the most, so we're going to work on that first. You can see now it's scraping up a lot easier. Basically, the alcohol dissolves it and turns it into a goop. Okay, now we got that. Let's go ahead and work our way back over. We're going to scrape it downwards here. Okay, there we go. It's coming out pretty nicely. Get this out as well. Okay, if you let it soak for a while, it's a lot easier to scrape out. But again, the rubbing alcohol evaporates pretty quick, so if you leave it and it dries up, then you're going to have to clean it all up again anyways. So, alright, so there we go. I think we got pretty much all of it up. We're going to get another paper towel and clean that. Alright, let me use the old paper towel first just to get this gunk out. Okay. Alright, let's get another clean piece of paper towel. We're going to now put some clean rubbing alcohol on there, and we're just going to clean off the residue here. There's always going to be a little bit residue. I mean, you can wash it, clean it multiple times to get as much as you can. But yeah, there's always going to be a tiny bit of that milky substance. Alright, we're going to go over here, clean this off. Alright. Same thing over here. Alright, this side looks pretty good, so we're going to leave that one until I get like a really clean clean wipe on all of them. Okay, so we're going to wipe these sides again. I folded over the paper towel to a cleaner side. We're cleaning this off again. Clean this off some more. There's a little bit of residue there. Okay, and then this side again. Go. Alright, it's pretty good now. Alright, let's open this up and clean the trackpad as well because it is really dusty. As you can see here, it's pretty dusty, so we're just going to wipe that and get that dust out. I'm going to also use a not a paper towel, a toothbrush, and clean it up a little bit more. Okay, let's go ahead and use the toothbrush and scrub that up. I will use an air blower and blow out the keyboard later. I'll use my electric air blower for that, but for now, we're just gonna do a somewhat cleaning on this so that there's no dust underneath the trackpad. Alright, so we'll flip this back closed, and let's go ahead and get another clean paper towel, and we'll just do one last wipe, and then that should be good. Okay, so we'll do this side first. Use the dry side to kind of help dry it up and absorb any residue. Oops, sorry, I'm going out of camera. Let me zoom out a bit more. Okay, let's go ahead and wipe this side now. Use the dry side to help dry it up a little bit. Okay, same thing over here. Pretty good now. And same thing over here. Okay, so you can see how quick it evaporates. Let's go ahead now and put the battery back in, or the new battery in. Okay, so we're going to zoom out again so you can see the entire thing. Let's move this out of the way. We are going to use the 2 popsicle sticks again to prop it up. So we are going to lift this, get under where the fan is to hold that up. Get the popsicle stick in there. You might have to push the speaker cable aside to get a better angle. There we go. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Lift it up. Get the popsicle stick in there. Okay. All right. Just like that. Okay. There we go. And let's go ahead now and pop in the replacement battery. So they bought a replacement battery from iFixit, but if you've looked at iFixit's guide, it's way more complicated than what I did. So yeah. And I don't know why, but iFixit includes a whole bunch of stickers here, maybe to advertise. Battery calibration, so they want you to charge it to 100% and keep charging it for at least 2 more hours, and then use the device until it shuts off, and then charge it again to 100%. I don't think that's actually a good thing, because this is what do you call? This is a lithium battery, lithium ion. You don't want to drain lithium batteries to 0. That's actually bad for them. So I don't know why they recommend that, but that's what they recommend for calibrating it. I would maybe drain it to like 5% and then charge it. It looks like they also include rubber feet, but I've never seen rubber feet missing from these models. So yeah, all right. So I flipped the battery upside down out of the packaging. So here we go. We got this. Okay. And then what we're going to do, I like to hold it on my arm like this, okay? And we're basically going to peel these off. So that way we have the adhesive pads here, okay? So we're going to peel these up. Let me actually see here. Ooh, let me drop that. This model, I'm not sure if we can do it or not. Let's see. Is this going to... Is there one side that's more sticky than the other? Not really. Okay. So I'm going to stick these thingies back on. Got some dust on it. Should be okay. Alright, so let's see. Can I actually reach these while the battery's already in there? I don't know. So sometimes to help with the alignment, you want to actually get this in place first. Okay, so the plastic on top is supposed to keep it so it doesn't flip upside down. And of course you want to make sure this cable ends up on top. Okay, let's see if I can actually reach these to peel out these adhesives. I think I can. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to leave that out. This side is probably going to be a pain. But now it's like somewhat aligned. So what we're going to do is... Can we take this back out? It's somewhat stuck here. There we go. Okay, so this is pretty tricky actually. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this lined up. I'll do it this way because it's easier to make sure it's lined up right before you actually drop it into place. And what you want to focus on is these parts here, that they're centered in the gap. Alright, so that's the most important thing. That way when you drop it down, everything else should be centered. Okay, and then we're going to actually put the screws here. We can actually take these popsicle sticks out and let this drop back down. Okay, and then we're going to actually get these 2 screws first. And again, make sure hopefully you had this cable on top. Alright, I have someone calling me right now, but I'm working on this, so I'm not going to answer it for now. Okay, so we had this connector, then we had that connector, had those, that trackpad, this. Okay, we have so many screws. Alright, so we're going to switch over to the T5, our Torx 5 screwdriver. And I'm going to be putting these 2 screws for this board first, just to make sure everything stays aligned properly. Okay, I'm not going to tighten it all the way down yet, because I want to get both screws in. Like that. And then usually you want to line this up. You don't want to push this thing down yet, because if you push it down, oops, sorry, let me zoom in. If you push it down, then the battery's going to be connected, and you're going to have to worry about draining the power before, so you don't accidentally short anything. Alright, so I'm going to hold this in place like that, try and get the screw centered as possible, and tighten that down, and then we're going to tighten down the other screw. And hopefully everything is lined up now. Okay, and let's go ahead now and pull out the adhesive protective stuff so that the battery will stick down. So we're going to try and get the middle up first, because these side ones, as you can see, we can take out later. So let's go ahead and focus on the center first. Okay, so we're going to have to fold that underneath, and then we're going to have to peel that back if we can. You can actually lift this up more, but you don't want to bend the cable too much. Some people just bend it all over the place, which scares me, because if you break the wiring in there, you can damage it. Alright, so we're going to now peel this out on both sides. I wish they put the tabs on the other side. That would have made it easier. But let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and then we're going to slowly lower this down. Again, try and keep everything centered. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so we got that all centered. Oh, this part, there we go. Make sure that ends up on the outside. It was kind of going over the top. Okay, so the center piece should be locked in now. You can't lift it up anymore. And then we're going to do the same with these. Peel this off and peel this off. Okay. Oh, why is it stuck? Oh, they put the adhesive wrong on this one. Okay, so this one they put the adhesive wrong. So I'm going to have to use my own adhesive, I think. Yeah. This one they put the thing upside down. So I don't think the adhesive is going to peel off right. Let's go ahead and peel it off anyways. And we'll put our own double stick adhesive under this one. Alright. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to let this go down and let this go down. Okay, I'm going to peel this up. When you peel this out, you want to actually roll it off like this. Okay, you don't want to pull it straight up, because then that will separate the layers inside the battery. Okay, we are going to get another adhesive because this one didn't come off right. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and remove these two sides. Let's go ahead and lift this up. Okay, peel that off and peel this off. Whoa, why'd they do that on both sides? For some reason on both sides here they put the adhesive upside down. So I am going to have to put my own adhesive, because this foam adhesive here, it's whatever plastic they use to stick to the other side of the foam adhesive, it's not releasing. So it's actually just separating the foam. Okay, so we are going to have to use our own double stick adhesive for that. Okay. Alright, so I don't know why they did that, but for some reason on both of these they did that where this adhesive protective thing, it doesn't separate from the adhesive. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna instead use some of this acrylic adhesive. Okay. So I don't know why, but they did that wrong. Okay. Let's go ahead and peel this layer off. So I'm going to roll this back like this. Okay, again, you want to hold this down and just roll it off like this. You don't want to pull it straight up, because that can damage the battery cells by separating layers from it. Alright, so there we go. I don't know if somebody returned this battery before. There's like some stuff trapped underneath it. Or it could just be the place where they have it manufactured has dust or something in it. Alright. Anyways, we're going to get this adhesive. I'm going to cut it. I probably shouldn't use so much. But let me see here underneath. Yeah, I probably don't want to use too much of that. Okay, so I'm going to actually cut this into 4 pieces. Actually, I guess we'll just use the whole thing. Let's see. Okay, so will I be able to get it out? Now I'll cut it in half. It's going to be too hard to reach it if I do it that way. So we'll cut this in half. Okay. And we'll just stick this on the back here of the battery. Okay, we're going to do that on both sides. This adhesive is pretty strong. It's an acrylic adhesive. Okay, you shouldn't need this unless your battery, this one was manufactured wrong with the adhesive. I don't know what happened, but Okay, let's go ahead and peel off the protective coating for the adhesive that I just added on both sides. Okay, and then we're going to carefully drop this down into place. And now that's not going anywhere. Okay. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay. Cut that. We're almost done. We got to put all the screws back in. But we're almost there. Okay. Yeah, I'm way undercharging on this model. Especially with this defective battery issue, it makes it even more of a hassle. But it is what it is. Alright, so we're gonna now stick this onto here. Same thing. Stick that down. And we'll stick this down on there. Okay. Am I going? Oops, I'm going out of view. Sorry about that. Okay, so I put the double stick adhesive onto there. Now we're going to peel off the protective coating. Okay. There we go. And slowly lower that and stick that down. Alright, so we got the battery now installed. Let's go ahead and get everything else put into place. Okay. So we got that all lined up. Let's go ahead and push in all these little connectors. Let's zoom in and see. I'll try and give you a close-up of everything. Let's go ahead and plug in this connector. I believe this is for part of the touch bar, if I remember correctly. You got the speaker. Let's go ahead and plug that back in. Okay, this is kind of going up a little bit, so all right, let's go ahead and plug in this. I think this is for the keyboard and the fans. I don't recall. If you're wondering, this is for the microphone. Okay, the other speaker here, get that lined up, click that into place. All right. And I think now we can just put back all the screws. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and stick with the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Actually, should we? No, wait, yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and put back the motherboard screws first. I'm gonna zoom out so you can kind of see the whole thing. Motherboard, logic board, whatever you want to call it. Alright, I'm gonna get this screw first. Get that in. Again, we are using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Hopefully you did keep track of all the screws. Get this screw in. Okay. We're going to get this screw up here. These are T3 screws, so we're going to skip those for now. Okay, we're going to put the T5 screw for the wireless antennas up here. Then we got the one down over here. Move this over a little bit. Okay, then we got the one up here. And then we got the one over on this side. All right, we're gonna now switch back over to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. And let's go ahead and put back all these little covers that were holding this. Let me zoom in a bit here. Okay, so we're gonna put this one first. I like to get the screw, put it on the screwdriver first. If yours isn't magnetized, you can kind of hold the bracket like this. Use that to help guide the screw and then get that in. And I loosely fit it so that we can still move this to get it aligned properly. Just in case you're wondering. Okay, and get that aligned and tighten that screw down. Okay, and tighten that screw down. All right, we're gonna go over here. We still have the two motherboard screws. Let's go ahead and put that in. So we got this one right here. Hopefully you made sure this cable was on top. Okay, And we got this cable, or this screw right here. Okay, we got the other bracket holding the keyboard connector in place. Again, same thing. You can use this bracket with the screw on top like this to help guide it into place. All right. Got the second screw. Make sure it's lined up. Come on, get in place. There we go. And then we'll tighten that screw in. Okay, tighten that into place. Tighten this into place. All right, we're gonna move over here now. We do need to switch actually to the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Let's actually get all of these in. So we have this one, T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Again, make sure it goes underneath the plastic thing here. You can remove this plastic if you want using the T3 screwdriver. Okay, but it's not necessary, as you can see. It's a little bit trickier, but yeah. All right, then don't forget the one over here. Okay, tighten that into place. There we go. All right, so we got all of those. Let's switch back to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver and get the last few screws in place that were for these brackets. Okay, wait, did I miss one here? Okay, no. So we got this bracket holding this, and then the last one is for the trackpad. So let's go ahead and get this back into place. Get this one, line that up. We're gonna loosely fit this screw first. Come on, get in place, come on. There we go. Loosely fit that. The last second screw, or the last screw here. Get that lined up. Okay. Make sure, I like to try and get this all lined up. Tighten that down. And then we'll tighten this one down. There we go. Good. All right, now for the trackpad. Let's zoom out a bit. So just like before, we're going to open it up slightly. Okay, I'm going to have to clean under here again. It's a little bit gross. Let me actually use a little rubbing alcohol and clean that up real quick. You can see there's some gross stuff there. So a little rubbing alcohol. Clean up the screen. Okay. There we go. It's still a little bit gross. Let's get a little more. Okay. There we go. All right. Now let's go ahead and put the trackpad back into place. We are going to have it slightly closed. Again, the trackpad, those little washers can fall off pretty easily, so be very careful and gentle when moving it around. Okay, we're going to slowly put the trackpad underneath. I'm going to get this cable up through. Right. It's a little bit tricky getting this to kind of follow the curve. You kind of have to rotate the trackpad a bit and open the computer a bit more. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Rotate this, get that to go through. Okay, there we go. Then we're going to slowly, carefully lift the trackpad up and hold that in place. All right, then we're going to use the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Oops, I probably should have already switched to that. It's a little bit more difficult now. Okay. Switch over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, and we're going to get a few of these screws in. It might help to have someone else help you, but there we go. Okay, get that screw in. And I'm going to do the corner screws first. That way I can let go and not have to keep holding it. All right, and I'm just loosely fitting those screws, and I'll show you why in a bit. We are going to have to use some tape to align the trackpad properly. Okay, And this last one. Okay. So now we got those 4 corner screws in. We can let go and let this close. And the reason why you don't want to tighten it, you can see how much movement there is in the trackpad. If you turn it over, you'll actually notice the gap in the trackpad won't be even. So we're going to have to align it. So I'm just going to put all these screws in loosely for now, just so they're all in place where they're supposed to be. Okay. Put these 3 in. Okay, get the last few screws in. Alright, most people when they do this kind of repair, they don't pay as close attention. So I'll show you in a bit what I mean. Let's go ahead and actually reconnect the trackpad cable here. So get that lined up. And click that into place. Then you want to make sure to flatten from this way down, okay? All right, because if you go from here, it might not be aligned right. We're going to switch back over to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver so we can put this metal plate back on. Okay. And if you're wondering, yes, the trackpad can be replaced without even disconnecting the battery, but again, it makes it a lot safer to do so, so I highly recommend disconnecting the battery and then pressing and holding the power button for about 15 seconds, even if you're just changing the trackpad. Most likely you don't need to, but again, it makes it a lot safer, and why risk it? Okay, we're going to switch back over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, and now let me show you what I mean. We're going to flip the MacBook over here and open this up. Okay, so right now, as you can see, there's a huge gap here, but no gap here. So usually what I do is I use pieces of tape where I kind of fold it over the edge, and then I can kind of use that to help peel this tape back up. So here you can see I can kind of move it around. So I'm going to try and push it all the way up to one side and then try and center it from there. And then after that, I'll slide it down just a bit to try and make it completely centered, and we'll stick this into place. All right, I'm gonna get another piece of tape and basically do the same thing here. All right, so just like that, I can kind of find the center just by feeling how far it moves left and right, up and down, and that seems pretty well centered to me. It also depends on the angle that you're looking at it. So if you look at this angle, it'll look like the top has a bigger gap. So keep that in mind. My camera's not completely straight over the top, so it might look like it's slightly not even, but it is. All right, so let's close the screen, flip this back over, and now we can actually tighten all these screws in. So it's also good to go from corner to corner. So we're gonna go from that corner to that corner, and then we're gonna go to this corner, and now that all 4 corners are tightened, we can go ahead and just tighten all the rest if you want. If you want, you can keep doing the corner and corner to keep it more even pressure and stuff, but it shouldn't really matter once you get the main corners down. Okay, don't forget the center one here, and we'll get all these now. And then I'm just going to go over each one again one more time to make sure the screws are completely tightened into place. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and flip this back over, double check the trackpad, make sure it looks good. Okay, looks good, looks centered to me. All right, now we can go ahead and peel this tape back up and set that aside. All right, I'm gonna close this back up. And now to finally reconnect the battery. So we're gonna use the T5 or Torx 5. You wanna push this down and make sure, you wanna try and get this golden thing as centered as possible. Let me see if I can show you here. So right now it looks like it's slightly uncentered, so I'm going to loosen these screws here and see if I can move it a tiny bit over to the left. Okay, so we're going to try and push it slightly over to the left here. Okay, and then let's tighten it back down. Looks like that's as far as it'll move, so can't really do much else. Hopefully it should be good. All right, we're going to get the big T5 or Torx 5 screw, push this down, get that lined up, tighten that into place. Okay, now we got the battery connected. We're going to plug in this. It's missing the little pull tab, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, the replacement battery doesn't have the pull tab. I wonder if somebody installed this battery and returned it. That's why the adhesive on the two bottom corners were messed up. Hopefully it's working okay. All right, let's go ahead and get this lined up again. Okay, so get that lined up and push that in. Okay, and try and get that in straight. You'll see a little bit of the gold sticking out. That's normal. And then you can go ahead and flip that latch down. Okay, then you can go ahead and see if this will stick. There was an adhesive before, but not in this one. Okay, then we're going to get this lined up. I like to put it sideways like this to get it lined up. Flip this over, and then what you do is you match the edge with the edge over here so it lines up with that there, and then you can go ahead and push that down. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom back out. To power this back up, you are going to have to plug the MacBook in. It's not going to turn on without being plugged in. For testing, I'm just going to pop the cover back on, but I'm not going to slide the latches yet. Okay, so we are just going to get this and then pop these two sides in. Let's go ahead and flip it over and test it. I don't remember if this model lets me do a PRAM and SMC reset. We'll give that a shot. But other than that, should be it. Let's go ahead and plug it in. So right now, if you were to push this button, you'll feel the trackpad's not clicking, nothing's happening. So, oh, actually, it's turning on, so I don't need to plug it in. Okay, so, okay, it says low battery. So I'm going to have to plug this in and let it charge for a bit. I did hear the charging. Oh, there we go. I'm going to hold the option key. I guess I was too late. It's already booting. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and shut this down. Okay, I'm going to try doing a PRAM and SMC reset. I don't think it's going to work on this model, but let's go ahead and try it. All right, and then I'm going to blow the dust out with my air blower. But Control Option Shift on the left side, and then the power button. That's SMC reset. To do a PRAM reset, you power it on, and then Command Option PNR. Press and hold those buttons. You'll hear the chime. If it works, the screen should go back off, and it should chime a second time. So I think it might actually be doing it. So let's see. Yep. So you hear the power went to the max volume. That's how you know the brightness went to the max. And yeah, so it worked. All right. And of course, it's not actually 0% or low battery. It's just Apple wanted me to plug in the charger. All right. So anyways, let's go ahead and shut this down. And then we are going to put the cover on the right way. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this out. I'm going to pull this up. Pop this out, same like before, except now because I didn't slide these parts back in, I can pop it out from anywhere. We will slide it back the right way once we get once I get the thumbnail. So let's go ahead and get this thumbnail. All right, so we're gonna get the Apple battery in here, and because they made this such a pain in the ass, this is the thumbnail for them. All right. All right, so let's go ahead now and get the cover back in. Okay, so the cover, it's gonna go like this. You wanna slide this up like that. So what you're gonna do, start this slightly down. You wanna line up the edge here. The lighting is kind of bad, so, okay. So I'm gonna hold this down, and then I'm gonna slide this up. I'm basically pushing the bottom cover here up, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and go to this side. Same thing, hold this down. And then let me zoom out a bit so you can actually see everything. Okay, we'll move this out of the way. Okay, so hold that down and then use your thumb to push that to slide it up. Okay, then we're going to go here one more time and push that to make sure. Then you want to check both edges here are lined up and it looks good. Once you've confirmed that, you can go ahead and click that, click the center. There we go. And then we get all these last screws back in using the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. And that's pretty much all there is to this. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, again, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helped you save a bunch of money, again, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Other than that, that's pretty much it. You can stay while I put back the rest of the screws. But I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, let's get all these screws in. Okay. Last screw. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Alright, thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Let's drop this pipe.